Been a really solid week of practice. I was pleased with our guys, the way they responded. We've had a couple of tough games to start the season, but again, plenty of good things to continue to build on and plenty of work to do, that's for sure. But I've been impressed with their work ethic, their attention to detail, trying to improve. And so overall, good week. And we're going to need it here to play cleaner game here this Saturday.
All right, we're ready for questions. And the first one looks like it's from John Hale.
Mark, I don't think we got to ask you this Monday, but did Isaiah Epps get injured again? I noticed he wasn't playing on Saturday, and he's not on the depth chart this week.
He did. Yeah, he's got a few things going on. He hurt his thumb in the first game back, and, the foot's getting better, so he's got a few things happening to him.
Josh Moore.
Get myself unmuted. Hey, Mark, I meant to ask you this Monday, and it just kind of slipped my mind. The special team stuff, I know who's kind of calling the shots out there on game days. I know you were saying you're kind of taking you had a few guys that could take the reins there, but what's that look like on game days? I've not, been able to notice really.
Yeah, well we've had Louis Matsakis in a quality control rep position. So fundamentally, schematically what we've done since day one, as far as Dean being here and all that, we've been on the same page with that. But we have our position coaches taking over those roles. So Steve Klinkskill, John Summerall, Eddie Grand does the kickoff return. So we've got, the nice thing for me is I've got 3 guys on staff that have been special teams coordinators and that, are ready to be coordinators and head coaches. So we've got quite a bit of experience in that area. So obviously there's things, just like all parts of the game that we could certainly do better. And there's certain parts of the game that we're doing exceptionally well in the special teams. So much like our team, some good and some you need to improve on.
John Clay.
Mark, through 2 games, one on the road and one at home with limited attendance in both places, have you noticed any effect on like the players' energy or anything like that? Have you noticed that having any effect on the actual game being played at all?
Well, I really don't know, John. I mean, I think that's a good question. I mean, I know it can't. I know we try everything in our power not to let it affect our energy and our focus and our excitement to play. I mean, that should come from within. I know it's probably easier for me because I put the headsets on and you get into the game and really don't pay much attention to it. But for the players who are not wearing headsets throughout the game and feed off that energy, I'm sure it's let's put it this way, it's definitely different. I don't think there's any getting around that. But again, there's no excuse. It is what it is. Everybody's playing by the same rules in the same situation. So we have to be able to adapt and play well.
Jeff Drummond.
Hey, Mark, as a guy that appreciates good defense being played, what are you seeing from Mississippi State and what they're doing against the run? They've got like 75 plays, I think, defended, only giving up 143 yards. What jumps out at you off that film?
Yeah, they do a really good job. Zach Arnett, their defense coordinator, came. I think his a big portion of his background comes from San Diego State, Rocky Long, and shoot, I remember going against Rocky a long time ago. And I think Zach's the same way. Creates some problems, is aggressive. The first thing that stands out that you have to compliment any defense that I like to watch is when you put on the film is they play hard, and that's a reflection of Zach and their defense coaches and their staff in general. I think they play extremely hard, but I think he is very multiple and aggressive as far as stunting and blitzing and things of that nature of creating some pressures, even in the run game.
Ken Spencer.
Yeah, Mark, I saw a report where maybe the SEC, the league office, sent out a memo to ADs and coaches about following COVID-19 protocols. wearing a mask in a grocery store has probably become, common hat now. How difficult is it in the heat of battle to keep that thing on during the game?
It is. It is. I felt like I was pretty good in game one, and I felt like I had my mask off a little bit more than I should in game two. So I need to get back to doing that and to wearing it at all times. And so I think all of us need to do that. I think we're all grateful to be playing, this fall. And there's a lot of people that put a lot of work into getting us to this point. So we all have to do our part, and I'll certainly try to do that. But is it difficult? Absolutely. The communication, the talking, the communicating with refs, communicating with your players, with your staff, it's different. But again, we have to adapt to the situation and make it work.
Lee Howard.
Hey, Mark. Mike Leach said earlier in the week that he complimented the defense, your defense, saying that it played much better than the score suggested, saying that Ole Miss was able to just hit on some big shots against an offense like the air raid. How important is it to limit those big explosive plays on Saturday?
Yeah, it's always important, and definitely against any of these high-powered offenses. And that's, what I talked to you all about on Monday and certainly after the game. It is frustrating because you feel like you're playing a good portion of the game. Sometimes when you play these teams, that's why it's important to play good as a team, because the more opportunities, the more plays we gave Ole Miss, the more opportunity they had for big plays. And that comes with possessions as well. They had more possessions than we're used to defending. But we have to do a better job of limiting explosive plays. And certainly when you play Mike, he has an answer for everything. He's been doing it a long, long time. And so he will nickel dime, and then hit you and hurt you with explosives. So you always have to be on your toes and on point.
Josh Moore is next.
Mark, when we talked to Landon on Tuesday, he mentioned that one of the tougher things about this whole COVID experience was missing out on those team bonding exercises and kind of like those meet and greets with other position groups and that kind of thing. Is that, I mean, you don't want to make any excuses, but how does that affect kind of the play on the field, that kind of stuff in your mind?
Well, you're right. It is what it is. Landon's probably reiterating the emphasis that I made on Monday as part of my team meeting, was that we aren't able to do that. We usually have sessions and things where we break bread with different members of our team, different position groups, and force them to spend time with each other. And then they say a few words and talk about each other and just get to know people that they don't normally get. That's just one phase of things that we've done. And the work that we've done in the summer as far as having picnics and cooking on the grill and spending time together. But it is what it is. I think it's a big part of our success the past couple of years of being extremely unified and a very unselfish team. And then this year, I'm not blaming it on that or giving it an excuse. But for some reason, we have been, not as disciplined as we've been before. Again, and we're not far off. Don't make it a headline. Our team has played 2 games where we had every opportunity to win the game. And I appreciate the players' efforts to put ourselves in a position to win those games. We've just got to do a better job as a group, starting with me to find the plays and certain yards and everything. So we've done a lot of good things, but there are things we can improve on, and that's one of them. And I think Landon was reiterating the point that I was making on Monday in the team meeting, is that without all of this that we normally do, we still have to stress that and make it a point of emphasis and make sure that we are as unified as we have been in the past. And we have great kids here that care about each other, but we can't get isolated just because of this pandemic. We have to do what we can to still be as unified as we normally are. And again, I've mentioned it probably 4 or 5 times since I started doing the press conferences or started camp, that it just, it's different for me. It's not, it's frustrating for me as well, because I love talking to the team face to face and seeing the whites of their eyes each and every day. And I don't get to see that on Zoom and with having a limited face to face contact with the entire group. So is it different? Yes. Is it an excuse? No, because everybody's got to do it the same way. At least as far as I know, that, everybody's got to do it the same way. So we'll continue to build on it and do the best we can with that.
Lonnie Demery.
Mark, that was the coach, ironically, at Mississippi State by the name of Joe Lee Dunn at one time. And he got a lot of mileage out of the 3-5-3 defense, and with a lot of movement going on around it. And I'm just curious if there were any similarities that you can detect in Mike Leach's defense that may be the same as what Joe Lee Dunn's was.
Maybe Lonnie. I've known of Joe Lee for a long time. I've worked with some guys that had the pleasure of working with him. This was early in my career, so I've heard many stories about Joe Lee and all that. Never really studied it all that much as far as Joe Lee's defenses. So that'd be hard for me, to tell you what the similarities are with Joe Lee. I just know Zach does a very good job. And again, you see some similarities with Zach from a guy that I'm sure he learned quite a bit from in Rocky Law. And, I was familiar with Rocky just from playing him a long time ago, back in my Arizona days.
Okay, we'll wrap up with the last two in the queue, John Long and Lee Howard. John, go ahead.
Hey, Mark, you've always been very attentive, and I might even say overly appreciative sometimes, that all the support your team has gotten from the Kentucky fan base these past few years. And we're out here and we're listening to people like Paul Finebaum take some shots at Big Blue Nation. What did you think of his comments, and what would you like to say to this Kentucky fan base after your 0-2 start in a season where expectations were so high?
I haven't known. I really have no idea what you're talking about with what Paul said or what he said or didn't say. I don't know. So I'm really not sure.
Well, he mentioned that for every Kentucky fan who called up to whatever show in Lexington or our show or anybody's show and said, how come nobody respects Kentucky? How come they're not ranked high? Well, that's why. After Saturday, there's no more cases to be made for Kentucky. It's time to start thinking about John Calipari's basketball team.
Well, that's our fault for giving Paul the opportunity to talk about that. Again, that's his job, isn't it? To say whatever the heck he wants. So that's up to him. I can't control that. All I need to do is continue to control what we can control, go win a football game, go on a good run and do the best we can. And just like years past, we string some wins together and start doing some good things. I'm sure my phone will be ringing and asking me to be back on the show. So that doesn't surprise me. It is what it is. When you're down, people are going to try to kick you, and when you're winning, they're going to ask you to be on their show.
Okay, we'll wrap up with Lee Howard.
Looks like you lost some lights there.
It's a standard protocol for us.
Speaking of things that you can't control, the weather is certainly one of those things you can't control. But given the amount of rain games that you guys played in last year and some success you had in the rain, and the weather forecast on Saturday certainly calling for rain, you're going to be playing against the passing offense. Can that play in your favor in any way, just because of the experience and because Mississippi State wants to throw the ball?
I don't know. Each and every week and every situation is different. Ball security is important, whether it's dry or whether it's wet. And, we did play well at times last year in the rain, but I can remember a couple games or certainly a half where we didn't. It affects everybody. So it is what it is. I certainly can't control what's going to happen with the weather, and I'm quite certain nobody here on this conference call right now can change that as well. So we just have to adapt to whatever situation comes and do the very best we can, and we'll see where it goes.